So my next book is called Mobilizing Mistrust, and it's about this idea that what really describes politics at our current moment is that we have very, very low trust in institutions. If you ask Americans whether they believe that Congress is going to do the right thing, the government in Washington is going to do the right thing, less than 20% of people will tell you that they've got a great deal of confidence. That's a huge change from the 1960s. In 1964, 77% of people would tell you that they trusted the government to do the right thing. Trust is not just collapsing in government, it's collapsing in everything from corporations to universities to banks to churches. And this leaves us with this really interesting paradox. If you don't trust the government, why would you vote? Why would you get involved with politics? And in fact, one of the reasons why you have waning interest in civics in some cases is because people have so little trust. The question becomes, what can you do to make social change that doesn't require trust in those systems? And so whether it's folks like the Parkland kids going after guns by going after corporations or starting social movements, whether it's clever programmers going out there and saying, hey, I know we're never going to pass legislation protecting communications, but I can put strong encryption within WhatsApp and no one's going to read my text messages. Whether it's Elon Musk essentially saying, maybe we're never going to pass a carbon tax, but if I can build a really truly sexy electric car, maybe I'm going to shift the dynamics around the power industry. These are all ways to make change that don't depend on trusting institutions. They allow you to be an insurrectionist, but to be a productive one. So the whole book is really about productive, pro-social insurrection. One of the other big projects I'm working on right now is called the International Hate Observatory. And this is a way of taking this work that we've been doing for years on Media Cloud, where we're tracking blogs and news sites and expanding into what we refer to as the dank web. And these are places like 4chan, 8chan, Reddit, Vote, corners of the web that you might not have encountered unless you follow internet culture closely or unless you're trying to track where a lot of this ethno-nationalist white supremacy is coming from. And what we're realizing is that in the same way that we've created a scholarly resource to study online news, we need to create a resource that groups like the Anti-Defamation League or Southern Poverty Law Center can use to try to study how hate speech is spreading online. I think people are now realizing that people who were already unstable are perhaps being radicalized by some of this online speech. And so we wanted to provide a resource that allows people to systemically study how ideas spread through this medium and find their way into YouTube or onto CNN. And so that's really the new frontier of our work through the International Hate Observatory. Friends of mine at the Anti-Defamation League have a theory about online hate that I find very helpful. They believe that it's unlikely that encountering hate speech is likely to make you a hateful person. If you are a happy, sane, healthy person, you probably recoil from this stuff. If you are already someone who is inclined to hate other people, to hate other races, this online speech lowers the barrier to your speech, which is to say speech generates speech. So if you see a lot of people essentially saying, you know, the white race is experiencing a genocide, we must protect ourselves, you know, I'm going to respond to that by going, well, that's garbage. But someone who might already be thinking that is disinhibited and sees that speech and might be tempted to go ahead and say something him or herself. So it's really challenging to try to figure out how do we work against disinhibition. We tend to believe that the answer to bad speech is more speech, but that doesn't necessarily work at this particular moment within social media. You're not going to out-argue someone who believes in white genocide, and in the meantime, someone speaking about white genocide may be disinhibiting someone who might not just speak, but might take action based on it. And that's why this field is so dangerous, so frightening, but really just begs to be better understood than it currently is, which is why I'm so excited about this work.